I'm Thad Brown. He's Carl Jones. This is Let's Talk Ball, the semi-weekly breakdown of the X's and O's from the Bills game. Obviously, we haven't been doing this in a couple weeks. The changing of game location, and then Thursday and all that stuff totally screwed up my schedule, our schedule. So we haven't talked to you in a little while, but we're back talking about the Bills and the Patriots from a couple of Thursday nights ago. And Carl, I want to start on the defensive side. The Bills were great on defense. And a guy that I have generally been pretty critical of relative to the fans, I thought was fantastic, and that was Greg Rousseau. And I'll tell you what, with the news about Von Miller breaking with the Bills, this is a welcome improvement I'm sure that Bills fans will want to hear about. Frankly, I thought he was a man. I mean, he was just dominant against the Patriots, both against the run and against the pass. I had him down for 5 total quarterback pressures, which is a mega number for a defensive end, any pass rusher, really. In addition, the Patriots tried to cut him a ton, and he had no problem avoiding it. I mean, he was, dusting off cut blocks like it was a 5-year-old trying to block him. He was able to get his hands on a pass, on a swing. I mean, look, he was doing everything you want your number one defensive end to do, short of sacking the quarterback, which who cares? I mean, other guys did that. But, I thought easily his best game. And the other thing about this game I like, Carl, was that we've seen him be dominant in spurts this year. Like, I've seen him have a great series or maybe a great couple of series. He was really good top to bottom. And the other thing, too, was because the Patriots were going 3 and out so much in the first half, Rousseau played the whole first half. The Bills like to rotate their guys. They didn't have to. I was laughing. I'm like, every time the Patriots came back out on film, I'm like, who's on? Oh, it's Rousseau again, along with Shaq. Again, and again, and again. So you didn't really see Epinesa or Basham or the backups until the second half. And that's a credit to, Rousseau, but the other 10 guys around him too. But Rousseau's a big part of that. I thought he was really good.
I thought he was fantastic as well. He didn't have many opportunities to just flat out rush the passer early on as well. And that's because of the short passing game that the Patriots implemented. It wasn't a lot of, deep opportunities for him to get home to the quarterback. So for him to get 5 pressures on the style of passing attack that the Patriots brought to the table is very impressive. And they're going to need that type of performance from him going forward, obviously, with the sad news of Von Miller.
Now, caveat to that, the right tackle who went against Rousseau most of that game was Connor McDermott, a guy who's been around the AFC East, played for the Bills, played for the Jets. I love him as a guy. He's one of the best. I know him a little bit, one of the best dudes. He's just really not a great offensive tackle. And, a guy who's really never been a regular starter. So for Rousseau to succeed there, you at least have to say, well, who did he go against? And that was a part of it. In addition, a lot of his success was stunts. But look, you know what? If he's stronger, he's stronger, and there's reasons why. I mean, one of the reasons I think the Bills like to use him on stunts is that he gets inside in like 3 strides, where it might take most guys 4 or 5, and it gets him to the quarterback faster. So look, credit where credit was due. I thought he was really good. We're going to talk about another guy who I thought was pretty good in a minute, but you want to talk about a spot that is actually a big, big concern going forward.
That cornerback 2 spot for the Bills, I think, is going to be it's alarming right now. I mean, obviously with Trey White getting back, played 33 snaps, which is about double what he played on Thanksgiving Day against the Lions. He looked okay. He's progressively moving a little bit better. I think he's getting a little bit more confident out there. I saw him disguising a couple man looks out there, and that alarms that, this dude's confident out there when
he's playing games.
He's playing games out there, fake bailing and stuff like that. It was actually on the play where Devontae Parker got him on the sideline, but he was forced out of bounds. It was that exact play. But that gives you at least confidence as someone who's on the outside watching that Trey White is on that moment. But aside from Trey White, the other spot and the other, 3 guys at this point with Xavier Rhodes, Dane Jackson, and Kyer Elam, they're going to need someone to step up in a hurry. You got the Jets this upcoming week with Garrett Wilson and then Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, 3 guys who can make plays happen. And then I don't need to tell you who the Bengals and the Dolphins have, because they have a who's who of guys over there. Dane and Xavier didn't really make me feel too confident in what they did this past week against the Patriots, who probably have like a bottom 3rd receiving core in the NFL.
Or bottom 32nd, maybe. Yeah, they might be the worst receiving core in the league. Oh, maybe them or Chicago, I'd say.
No, honestly, and that's off the top of my head, that's probably accurate too. They didn't. Dane Jackson fell on the one double move that Mac Jones missed. Xavier Rhodes gave up a couple completions and had some yak after it as well. Kyer Elam didn't play at all. He wasn't active. That's not encouraging to see when the entire year the cornerback position hasn't really been too big of a concern. Right. Obviously, Trey White hasn't been there, but Dane went through a stretch where he was playing good football, and then around November, going against, Justin Jefferson the 1 week, and then Amari Cooper, things started to go downhill a little bit. They're going to have to correct that really, really fast. They were able to get away with it because they played a ton of zone against the Patriots, but you can do that. against that offense.
Against the Patriots, yeah.
Not against the teams that they're going to look forward to in the postseason and beyond.
Yeah, I like Dane in his first of all, I liked him what he did last year at the end of the season when Trey was out, and I liked the first half of his season. I wonder how much, and maybe you can speak to this a little as a corner, I think Dane Jackson is a competent, if not above average, #2 corner in the NFL. But he's been going up against, like you said, #1 receivers. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Amari Cooper to a little lesser extent. These are guys that just, will put any corner into hell for 60 minutes, let alone a guy who's not supposed to be at that level. As a corner, if you're a guy who's forced into a spot where it's over your head, you might not admit it, but whatever. Does that hurt you when you go back to a spot where Dane is theoretically now, where you're supposed to be, where you have all this scar tissue? They say you need to be able to forget quickly in the NFL as a corner. Still, is it hard to do it when it's been game after game, rep after rep?
110%. That position, I guess you can say quarterback as well, but I'm not going to defend the quarterbacks today. They get enough love. That position is 90% mental. Everyone in the NFL that's made it to that level, they can play ball, they can move, they can change direction, they bring some physical attribute to the table. But what separates just even the average ones from everyone else is the ability to forget and to play the next snap. And you can kind of tell out there that Dane's thinking a lot. I saw he fell, not even on the double move, he fell on another play where I believe Tyquan Thornton ran down the middle of the field and Dane Jackson just fell. That's just someone who's just not confident in his feet. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, man, where was the guy that I saw in September and October? And it doesn't help when you're rotating because now you're always thinking, okay, what plays can I make to stay on the field? You know? That doesn't help either. Like any player or any job or occupation, rhythm helps. So I'm sure he is thinking out there, and that is hurting his play.
I wonder, I think the Bills' rotation early in the year, at least with the other guys, and then we all kind of lauded it, it made sense, and I think it did. But you're right, you wonder at this point if maybe the long-term ramifications of that are someone who's constantly looking over their shoulder. Regardless, I mean, we could sit here and throw theories on the wall about what's going on, and then we didn't even talk about Kyrie Elam, the first-round rookie who can't even get on the field, over the guy who, came off the street 3 weeks ago, or the 7th-round draft pick from 3 years ago. And look, I don't think Elam is a ton worse than those guys, and I don't really know. Like, I'd play Elam over Rhodes right now. Rhodes did nothing to impress me, but from what I saw from Dane and Christian Benford, whenever he's healthy again, I thought those two were a tick above Elam, to where I understand Elam being a healthy scratch. Now, from what we've seen and the pedigree Elam has and the athletic profile, I'd throw Elam back out there at this point just because it can't get much worse, And I hate to say that about Dane. I'm a huge Dane Jackson fan, but it just hasn't been that good so far.
But at the end of the day, if you're not a starter, you got to contribute on special teams, and we don't really.
Kyrie Elam doesn't do that at all.
We haven't seen it to this point where he's going to play on that special team aspect of the game. So if you're not a starter, you got to figure out another way to impact the game.
You talked about Trey White. I just want to talk for a minute. I kind of agree. I thought he was okay. I like the point you make about recognizing when a guy is comfortable in himself. I think that's actually more important. I want to see Trey White believe he's good more than me believing he's good or me seeing on film that he's good. The other thing I want to say about the Bills on defense, the Patriots offense is a train wreck. Oh, man. The offensive line especially. We talked about Connor McDermott, he's not a regular starter for them. Just they picked him up a couple weeks ago too. The whole line was just a disaster. Guys tripping over each other, not understanding how to pick up stunts. I don't know how they scored 26 points on Minnesota. I don't. I mean, and really, even against the Jets, they only scored 3 points, but they moved the ball. They missed a couple field goals. I don't know how they did that. They were an utter disaster. Absolutely, the Bills were a part of it, but wow, are they bad.
They look like a team with a defensive coordinator as his offense.
Oh, yeah. It does look that way, doesn't it? Yeah. All right, let's flip over to the other side of the ball for the Bills. And the first guy I want to start out with is a guy who a lot of people are talking about, running back James Cook, who had his best game of the year, over 100 total yards, played a lot of snaps. It's funny, the 17-play touchdown drive that made it 24-7, I had a Devin Singletary under bet, so I was very aware of which running back was in. And every time Cook kept coming out of the huddle, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. But it was stunning because it's 17-7 then. That's crunch time of the game, and Cook is getting the majority of the carries. I will say, look, I think the average fan sees James Cook, second-round draft pick, and thinks, oh, he's going to be Alvin Kamara. He's going to be the next star, And I don't know. I really don't think he will ever be that. I think he can be a very competent and productive running back in a number of different ways. The one thing that I'm seeing mostly from him, when he gets going vertical, straight up down the field, or if he takes a handoff and has a head of steam to hit an open hole, he's nasty. That guy going forward at full speed does not decelerate to make a cut. And there are very few guys in the league can look as smooth and as dangerous as he does down the field. The problem is in the NFL, you don't get that play hardly at all. You know, I mean, he's hit 3 or 4 of them this year, and that sounds about how many you're going to get. And, you know, the Bills don't have a great run blocking line. They do have the benefit of a great passing game. The teams will overplay to lighten up boxes and stuff. But the problem with Cook is that as good as he is vertical, the moment he gets horizontal, he's dead. And there was a play in this game where he ran for 4, and I thought he navigated it well. A handoff more or less up the middle, read a block to the outside, and then cut it up. It was the play where Gabe Davis had a block in the back, was cutting it up inside a corner on the edge. And his cut was so slow, I swear there are 747s that get around a runway faster than what he does. I think I might have a shot in the 3-cone against James Cook. It looked that.
I've seen you run up and down the sidelines.
I do okay, yeah. I've got some skills. But it really was, and we talked about it with me a moment ago, for the ability that he has as a speed guy going forward or downhill, for him to look that slow, even on one cut, is kind of amazing. I think bottom line though, the Bills did a good job in this game of finding things he's going to be good at. They ran some outside-inside zone, which is generally you hand the ball to a running back, he finds a hole and just goes. So one cut and go, perfect for him. And they got him throws in space to where he catch, turn, and go. I think he can be pretty successful and productive that way. So look, he doesn't have to be a complete back to be effective, and I think he was very effective in this game.
But there's not a lot of complete backs in the NFL in this day and age.
That's fair.
I mean, there's so many rotational backs. Even the backs who are superstars. I mean, I'm from Cleveland. Nick Chubb is one of the best backs.
Doesn't catch passes much.
But he's not on the field on third down.
Yeah.
So, like, there's not really many all-purpose, every single snap he's going to be on the field. So the fact that Ken Dorsey recognizes some of his strengths to this point, because he's still a rookie, you know, and there were some things coming out of Georgia where we had questions on if he can bring that to the table. Because to be quite frank with you, as we talked about a little bit off air, whenever James Cook in college did that one-cut stuff at Georgia, the hole was ginormous.
Yes.
It wasn't these small holes that that you're going to see in the NFL. So that is encouraging to see, at least from that regard. But also with him to be billed as this pass catching, you know, third down back that we build him coming out of college. You're like, man, you would think he'd be a little bit more shifty going side to side, like a Sproles or someone else that had that type of pedigree in the NFL some years ago.
And the thing was, he came into the league, and I thought this would be true, that he would be a dangerous receiver. Like I thought he had, you know, one of the better sets of not necessarily release package, but an ability to run a route. I thought he'd be, you know, pretty effective that way, and he really is not, because horizontal, he's not threatening linebackers, let alone corners and safeties, you know. So I think it's one of the reasons why the Bills have not been able to get him out there. But I think you can use James Cook in this package. And I'll give Ken Dorsey some credit too. You know, I think he's had a mixed bag year, which is probably what you'd expect from a first-year coordinator. In this game, I thought he caught a pretty good game, and the majority of my thumbs up for Ken Dorsey in this game were how he used James Cook.
And also how he used James Cook and another guy in that room, Nyheim Hines. Early in that game, I know they kicked the field goal, I believe, on that first drive, but I don't think that was the doing of Ken Dorsey. I believe there was a drop and then like a holding penalty. Like
there was a holding penalty on it, and I don't remember.
Singletary dropped I think the second pass of the game.
Yeah, but I mean, like they had gotten that first down, so.
But that's an execution issue, not a play calling issue. But to go back to Dorsey a little bit, I really enjoyed how he utilized motion in that game. Specifically, I believe Isaiah McKenzie and Nyheim Hines. For 2 reasons.
Hines was all over there, yeah.
All over. I mean, the orbit motion where he comes in front of Josh Allen, then runs behind him and goes to the sideline, and then also just a regular fast motion across the line of scrimmage. That helps for 2 reasons. One, it helps out Josh Allen whenever they're passing the ball because it declares the coverage right away. As a DB, you can't disguise a coverage any longer if it's a fast motion. If it's one of those slow motions where they're trotting across the line of scrimmage, I have time to communicate with my safety, hey, let's do this, right? If it's fast, I don't have no time. We got to get down in and let's go. So that's one reason why it helps Josh Allen in that regard. And then also it helps out in the running game because if you've ever noticed with that fast motion, linebackers take 1 or 2 steps to the left or 1 or 2 steps to the right, and that helps those tackles, those guards, and those centers to be able to go up and reach and get some of those guys in that regard. So I thought that was encouraging that Ken Dorsey utilized it so much, especially in the first half. And I know the Bills didn't pop every run for 8-9 yards, but the fact that they got a couple on those type of plays is encouraging to see, and I think is a step in the right direction of some of the games where Ken Dorsey, I didn't agree with some of the stuff, but in this game, especially with how the Bills ran the ball. I thought that motion was a big reason why.
Second game in a row, too, where they converted 2 third and shorts, one on the goal line this time. A play where the Bills, it looked like they were checking out of another play into a read option for Josh Allen, executed it well. They're getting enough blocking up front to convert those 3rd and 1s. And look, Josh Allen takes enough of a beating as it is without making him get sneaks and do everything on 3rd and 1. So the fact they're able to use Devin Singletary there, I think has been a benefit for sure. Up front, look, the offensive line is still, at best, a work in progress. Obviously, no Deion Dawkins this game. David Questenberry got hurt early. You could tell he was playing through an injury. Regardless, he hasn't been great all year. It obviously was not going to help in this game, playing kind of at less than 100%. Josh Uche had his way with Questenberry on more than one occasion. Matthew Judon really wasn't a factor in this game. The Patriots, one of the things I'll say, I was surprised that Bill Belichick didn't vary up his blitzes more. Steve Spagnuolo, for my money, calls 8 times as many blitzes as Belichick does. Belichick ran, it was pretty much just a zone drop where you run a linebacker from one side and drop the DN from the other into coverage, and that was the extent of what they did. They had multiple plays, too, where they didn't rush Josh Allen. They contained him. So that's a part of the reason why Matthew Judon wasn't effective. But the Bills just blocked him, too. And Spencer Brown, I thought, had a roughish first quarter, but kind of settled in after that, was pretty solid. The interior, up and down, what you expect. Roger Saffold had a couple nice plays, one of his better games, I thought, even if he still had, some of the pass rush issues that we've seen. Anything else offensively that you're going to look at and say, I think we were talking about Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen a little bit, before we came out here.
Stephon Diggs is still really good at football. And then also,
yes. Back to you.
And also, Josh Allen, I thought for the first time since maybe the beginning of the season, took some of those check downs and gave it down to James Cook a little bit, and even Isaiah McKenzie in some aspects as well. He went through that lull where he was forcing things and making plays where you're like, Josh, come on, Josh, really, Josh?
Yeah.
Back to, if it's not there, get rid of it quick. It's not like he was sitting in the pocket and like, I'm waiting. No, he did the play action, gave it to quick. That was encouraging to see, and the fact that he's back to that Josh into the meat of the schedule was good to see. Josh
Allen is always better when he takes the easy stuff, the gimme plays, and just keeps the sticks moving. That's, one of the things that I think has been a problem with this offense is that with Cole Beasley, you had those automatically. You get him one-on-one with the linebacker. There were plays where Josh would just drop back and say, okay, I'm going to wait for you to get open. And actually, the Diggs touchdown, it was funny. The Diggs touchdown, I thought, was that. They saw him singled up. Josh dropped back and just waited for him to get open and then threw the ball. And look, when you have those kind of outlets to make offense easy, even for a guy like Josh Allen, you got to take it. It was funny, too. I had a hard time getting a read on what kind of coverage the Patriots were playing because one of two things happened on most plays. Either A, Josh Allen was running for his life a second half in, or B, he was just dumping it down to James Cook a second half in. So it was like, well, they played something, but it didn't matter because nothing really happened down the field anyway. But, yeah, Diggs was impressive. I thought Gabe Davis had a better game than his numbers. I thought he was open more often than he got credit for. Had a deep shot that Josh Allen missed. And look, Josh Allen is human. He's not going to hit them all. But Davis did get open on that play, too. So a lot of good stuff, I think, from the Bills in this game. Not surprisingly, they won pretty easily. Tough game coming up against the Jets. Looking forward to seeing what the rematch will be. The Jets were really good against them defensively. What kind of wrinkles do the Bills have? And what do the Jets look like with Mike White on film? He had a pretty good game, above average at least against the Vikings. However, the Vikings to the Bills is a giant step up in terms of defensive ability. All right, for Carl Jones, I'm Thad Brown. Thanks for checking out Let's Talk Ball. Please click on something else here at RochesterFirst.com.